May was an absolute disaster. So what did I do for this month? Got me a TBR jar. Pick a good one, bud. No? Hello, welcome to the Black and Blue Collar Reader. My name is Dan. Today, I'm going to go over all the books that I read in May, as well as the books that I plan to read in June. I do have a little help for those books that I'm going to decide to read in June with my nifty TBR jar right here. My wife set this up for me. She looked up all the books, physical books that I have on my shelves that I have not read. She also looked into my Kindle, which she stole. And she wrote down all those books that are in my Kindle that I haven't read yet, and she placed them in this nifty little Who jar, the Whoville jar we got in Disney World, and I'm going to pick a couple books out of it to see what I'm going to read in June. So why don't we get into what I read in May? Dude, I killed it in May. I read a whole 2 books in May.
You suck.
So the reason I only read 2 books in May, and the reason for my bohemian beatnik aesthetic right now, is because one of those books I read was Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy, and this book wrecked me. I mean, as soon as I finished this book, I went out in the Twitter sphere and started looking up what people were saying about this book and about the author's intent. I watched a whole bunch of Blood Meridian book reviews on BookTube. I went on Goodreads and read what people said about it. I got out in Discord and discussed what the fuck I just read in this book. And it was absolutely amazing to get that context from other people and to see what other people thought of Judge Holden and, you know, the reasoning behind why McCarthy wrote this book. It was just so thought-provoking, so dense, and so beautifully written that, you know, I highly agree that this is a masterpiece and one that I'm going to reread over and over again. But I'm going to put it down for a little bit and just marinate on the book, and hopefully it will leave my head, because it is renting room up there for sure. So the next book that I finished in the month of May is actually an audiobook. That book is Jade War by Fonda Lee. And just when you think that Fonda Lee couldn't flesh out a world more, my girl goes international on your ass. I mean, we pick up in other countries, their culture, their politics. You know, it was just phenomenal the way she is fleshing out not just a city, but an entire world. And I just find it phenomenal. I love reading about it. I think the characters all grew in this segment of the Greenbone saga. Aiden, Shay, and even Hilo. Hilo actually starts to mature a little bit, and I kind of didn't like his hot-headedness in the first book, Jade City, but now he's really stepping into his role as the pillar with a level head, and I just really enjoyed that. I love where it's going. Shay does something in this book where I was just like, oh shit, she really is going to do this? It was actually phenomenal. I love Jade War. It's definitely a 5-star for me. And I also want to talk about, you know, I did a couple audiobooks this month as well. I am trying to better my listening skills. Like if you ever talk to my wife, she'll tell you that I don't listen to shit. And I need to work on it. So I'm using audiobooks to hone my listening skills. However, I did finish Dune on audio, and I want to review that book, but I don't feel that I fully grasped the experience of Dune via audiobook. It was an excellent audio. It was free on YouTube. They had different voices. I even think James Earl Jones was on the audio that is free on YouTube. but I was doing it while I was working, and I don't feel like I fully grasped or comprehended everything that I was listening to. I also picked up The Grace of Kings on audio, and I DNF'd it. Not because the book was bad, because the book was exceptionally written, and I want to immerse myself in a book like that. This book has a massive scope, and I feel that that is something that I can't really digest unless I'm fully, engaged in a physical book. So I am going to read The Grace of Kings physically. I already love what I heard from the first few chapters of that book, but I did DNF the audiobook for that. I also picked up Lapona by Otessa Moshfegh. What a great name right there, right? And Lapona is another thing all on its own. It is it's kind of like a gory Aesop's fables. I'm just reading it. I'm intrigued by these characters, on what's going on. It has a religious tone on it, and I'm just waiting for the message to pop out in this story. I'm just fully immersed in it. It's a bit disgusting. I will definitely throw that warning out there, but I'm totally intrigued with the story, and I'm hoping that the themes really blossom within this story. I know there is, an undertone of religion and power and ignorance, and I just can't wait to finish that. I'm fully immersed in that audiobook, and I think Otessa actually is the narrator of that audiobook. So, hey, that's what I did in the month of May. Why don't we get into what I'm going to do in the month of June? So, hey, let's get to this TBR jar and find out what Dan is going to be reading in the month of June. All right, let's see. What do we got here? 50 Shades of Morally Gray. That actually sounds kind of interesting. I think she's trying to be funny, but I hope they put out a book like that, man. 50 Shades of Morally Gray. Like that. I think she's trying to be funny. She's doing a good job. She's working on it, because I'm usually the funny one in the relationship. But hey, let's just get to another one. I can't believe that's the one I picked out, right? Let's see here. What do we got? All right. The Way of Pecan. No, that's not right. Mad Shit Traders. The 11th Unicycle. All right. Aston Kutcher's Crossing. The Fuchsia-Tongued Beef. Before They Are Yanked. Oof. Empire of Flatulence. Ooh, the silence is going to be deadly in that one. All right, come on, last one. Ready? Oathbringer. All right, you know what? We're not doing a jar. What we're going to do is continue on with my buddy read, and Christopher Navo. Him and I are reading Empire of Silence. We are halfway through it, and we are going to have a discussion about this book in the near future. I am loving this. Christopher Rocchio's writing is amazing. I also enjoy right now following one POV. I read a lot of books with multiple characters, and I enjoy staying in one place with one person. That would be Hadrian Marlowe. I'm just fully invested in this story, and I'm highly enjoying it. Right there at the halfway mark, I'm sure this series is just going to be, up there on my top 10 series after I'm completed it, because from what I hear, the next few books are just as well written and are just phenomenal. So also, I'm getting back into Malazan. Yep, we're jumping back into Memories of Ice. I've read about 100 pages into this, and I already love it. I'm taking my time with these books. As you can see, the books I read are tomes. I'm going to finish that one. My friend who bought me this book here, The Black Guard, just begged me to read the first chapter. I read the first chapter and I loved it. So I'm going to be finishing The Black Guard this month as well. I also, growing up, I was definitely a comic book fan, and Wolverine was my favorite. I collected all of his comics, but I also wanted to jump into manga. So this is going to be the month that I start my manga journey. And what I'm starting it with is maybe a little different than what you might think. I'm going with horror because I would like to give horror a shot. So I'm going with Uzumaki by Junji Ito. I read the first story in this, and oh man, I really enjoyed it. I can't wait to finish this book up. I will definitely put a review out there on Uzumaki and what I think about Junji Ito and the art in this book and the style of horror that he instills in this story. I can't wait to jump in. I also have a whole bunch of other things on my TBR that are right here. All right. So I could read some of them. Who knows what I'm going to read in June, but I'm pretty sure that these three are going to get done. Hey, thank you guys for sticking around for my May wrap up, my June TBR. I appreciate you. Stick around. Keep an eye out for my content. I do have a collab coming with a whole bunch of other booktubers, and it's going to be a really interesting collab. I've got a few of the videos already, and I just can't wait to get it set up and put out there. I think you guys are going to love it. So until I see you then on that video, let's keep growing to be better people. Let's keep growing to be better readers. And I will see you guys on that flip side. Peace.